Hello, my name is Jiso and I'm reading Master Dōgen's Shōbōgenzō. And yesterday we started reading chapter 22, Bussho, the Buddha nature. And we're on paragraph 14. The Buddha says, wanting to know the meaning of the Buddha nature, we should just reflect real-time causes and circumstances. When the time has come, the Buddha nature is manifest before us. This wanting to know the meaning of the Buddha nature does not only mean knowing. It means wanting to practice it, wanting to experience it, wanting to preach it, and wanting to forget it. Such preaching, practicing, experiencing, forgetting, misunderstanding, not misunderstanding, and so on, are all the causes and circumstances of real time. To reflect the causes and circumstances of real time is to reflect using the causes and circumstances of real time. It is mutual reflection through a whisk, a staff, and so on. On the basis of imperfect wisdom, faultless wisdom, or the wisdom of original awakening, fresh awakening, free awakening, right awakening, and so on, the causes and circumstances of real time can never be reflected. Just reflecting is not connected with the subject that reflects or the object of reflection, and it should not be equated with right reflection, wrong reflection, and the like. It is just reflection here and now. Because it is just reflection, here and now, it is beyond subjective reflection and it is beyond objective reflection. It is the oneness of real time and causes and circumstances itself. It is transcendence of causes and circumstances. It is the Buddha nature itself, the Buddha nature rid of its own substance. It is Buddha as Buddha himself, and it is the natural function as the natural function itself. People in many ages, from the ancient past to the present, have thought that the words "when the time has come" are about waiting for a time in the future when the Buddha nature might manifest before us. They think that, continuing their practice with this attitude, they will naturally meet the time when the Buddha nature is manifest before them. They say that because the time has not come, even if they visit a teacher and ask for Dharma, and even if they pursue the truth and make an effort, the Buddha nature is not manifest before them. Taking such a view, they vainly return to the world of crimson dust and vacantly stare at the Milky Way. People like this may be a variety of naturalistic non-Buddhists. The words wanting to know the meaning of the Buddha nature mean, for example, really knowing the meaning of the Buddha nature just here and now. Should just reflect real-time causes and circumstances means know causes and circumstances as real-time just here and now. If you want to know this Buddha nature, remember, causes and circumstances as real-time are just it. When the time comes means the time has come already. What could there be to doubt? Even if there is a time of doubt, I leave it as it is. It is the Buddha nature returning to me. Remember, the time having come describes not spending any time in vain through the 12 hours. When it has come is like saying it has come already. And because the time has come, Buddha nature does not arrive. Thus, now that the truth, in other words, now that the time has come, this is just the manifestation before us of the Buddha nature, whose truth, in other words, is self-evident. In summary, there has never been any time which was not time having come, nor any Buddha nature which was not the Buddha nature manifesting itself before us. The 12th patriarch, the Venerable Ashvagosa, in preaching the ocean of Buddha nature to the 13th patriarch, says, "The mountains, rivers, and the earth, all relying on it, are constructed. Samadhi and the 6 powers depending upon it, manifest themselves. So, these mountains, rivers, and earth are all the ocean of Buddha nature. As to the meaning of all relying on it are constructed, just the moment of construction itself is the mountains, rivers, and earth. He has actually said, all are constructed relying on it. Remember, the concrete form of the ocean of Buddha nature is like this. It should never be related with inside, outside, and middle. This being so, to look at mountains and rivers is to look at the Buddha nature, and to look at the Buddha nature is to look at the donkey's jaw and the horse's nose. We understand and we transcend the understanding that all rely means total reliance and reliance on the total. Samadhi and the 6 powers manifest themselves depending on this. Remember, the manifestation, the coming into the present of the various states of samadhi is in the same state of all relying on Buddha nature. The dependence upon this and the non-dependence upon this of all 6 powers are both in the state of all relying on the Buddha nature. The 6 mystical powers are not merely the 6 mystical powers mentioned in the Agama Sutras. 6 describes 3 and 3 before and 3 and 3 behind as the 6 mystical power paramitas. So do not investigate the 6 mystical powers as clear, clear are the 100 things, clear, clear is the will of Buddha's patriarchs. Even if the 6 mystical powers hold us back, they are still governed by the ocean of Buddha nature. The 5th patriarch, Zen Master Daiman, is a man from Obai in the Kishu district. Born without a father, he attains the truth as a child. Thereafter, he becomes the one who practices the truth by planting pine trees. Originally, he plants pine trees on the Saizen mountain in the Kishu district. The 4th patriarch happens to visit there, and he tells the practitioner, "I would like to transmit the Dharma to you, but you are already too old. If you return to this world, I will wait for you." The Master Daiman agrees. At last he is conceived in the womb of a daughter of the Shu family who, the story goes, abandons the baby in the dirty water of a harbour. A mystical being protects him, and no harm comes to him for 7 days. Then the family retrieves the baby and looks after him. When the boy reaches 7 years of age, on a street in Obai, he meets the 4th patriarch, Zen Master Dai. The patriarch sees that, though only a small child, the master has an exceptionally shaped skull, and he is no ordinary child. When the patriarch meets him, he asks, "What is your name?" The master answers, "I have a name, but it is not an ordinary name." The patriarch says, "What name is it?" The master answers, "It is Buddha nature." The patriarch says, "You are without the Buddha nature." The master replies, "The Buddha nature is emptiness, so we call it being without." The 4th patriarch recognizes that he is a vessel of the Dharma and makes him into an attendant monk. Later, the 4th patriarch transmits to him the right Dharma eye treasury. The 5th patriarch lives on the east mountain of Obai, mightily promoting the profound customs. Thus, when we thoroughly investigate the words of the ancestral masters, there is meaning in the 4th patriarch saying, "What is your name?" In the past, there were people described as a person of what country, and there were names described as a what name. One person was stating to another, "Your name is what?" It is like saying, for example, "I am like that, and you are also like that." The 5th patriarch says, "I have a name, but it is not an ordinary name." In other words, existence is the name, not an ordinary name, for an ordinary name is not right for existence here and now. In the 4th patriarch's words, what time is it? What means this, and he has dealt with this as what, which is a name. The realization of what is based on this, and the realization of this is the function of what. The name is this and is what. We make it into mugwort tea, make it into green tea, and make it into everyday tea and meals. The fifth patriarch says, it is Buddha nature. The point here is that this is the Buddha nature. Because it is what, it is in the state of Buddha. How could the investigation of this have been limited to naming it what? Even when this is not right, it is already the Buddha nature. Thus, this is what, and it is Buddha. And at the same time, when it has become free and it has become bared, it is always a name. Just such a name is Shu. But it is not received from a father, it is not received from a grandfather, and it is not the duplication of a mother's family name. How could it be equated with a bystander? The fourth patriarch says, you are without the Buddha nature. These words proclaim that you are not just anyone and I leave your name up to you, but being without, you are the Buddha nature. Remember the following and learn it. At what moment of the present can we be without the Buddha nature? Is it that at the start of Buddhist life we are without the Buddha nature? Is it that in the ascendant state of Buddha we are without the Buddha nature? Do not shut out clarification of the 7 directions, and do not grope for attainment of the 8 directions. Being without the Buddha nature can be learned, for example, as a moment of samadhi. We should ask and should assert whether when the Buddha nature becomes Buddha, it is without the Buddha nature, and when the Buddha nature first establishes the mind, it is without the Buddha nature. We should make outdoor pillars ask. We should ask outdoor pillars, and we should make the Buddha nature ask this question. Thus, the words, being without the Buddha nature, can be heard coming from the distant room of the fourth patriarch. They are seen and heard in Obai. They are spread through Joshu district, and they are exalted on Dai mountain. We must unfailingly apply ourselves to the words, being without the Buddha nature. Do not be hesitant. Though we should trace an outline of being without the Buddha nature, it has the standard which is what, the real time which is you, the devotion to the moment which is this, and the name common to all which is Shu. It is direct pursuit itself. It's quite long, this. It's very long. Okay, well, we'll have a bit more tomorrow. Thanks for listening.